Welcome once again to Parliament in Focus with me, Clement Sena Akolo. Here on Parliament in Focus, we tell you things that go on about Parliament, especially the Parliament of Ghana. And today I'm going to discuss the passage of the anti-LGBTQ bill in the Parliament of Ghana, properly known as Human Sexual Rights and Family Values Bill. It was passed last Friday here in Parliament, and there has been a lot of controversy and a lot of issues surrounding this particular bill. Today, I want us to look at it, how it was passed, the commentaries that are coming around it, and what we should see in the coming days. This is what I know about it. Last Friday, the majority led by Honorable Muhammad Yarika saw to the passage of the anti-LGBTQ plus bill, which has been controversial. You know, this particular bill was passed in the 8th Parliament. In the 8th Parliament, where the NPP was in government. Honorable Afenyo Markin, who was the majority leader, led Parliament to actually pass it. That particular bill was a private members' bill led by the then minority people, including very popular ones like Sam George, who is now the Minister of Communications here in the new government led by John Dramani Mahama. And you also know that it was a campaign promise during the former administration, during the time that the NDC, the governing NDC now, was in opposition, that when they come into power, they are going to ensure that the bill was passed into law and assented to. The reason why they make that promise was that when the then private members bill came to Parliament and it was passed, when it was transmitted to the president, then that is the President Nana Akufo-Addo, he did not assent to the bill, and we all know what happened. He did not assent to the bill and told Parliament not to actually transmit the bill to the presidency for assent. The reason that was given was that some people had gone to the court to actually challenge the constitutionality of the bill that was passed, because there were some clauses in that particular bill that did not allow people like the journalists to be able to cover issues concerning concerning LGBTQ and all those stuff, because when you do it, it could be deemed as you promoting activities of LGBTQ. And then also doctors could not actually treat people who had those had some issues concerning their act, because it could be deemed as promoting those activities. And then those who wanted to give legal services to these people could not actually get those legal services, because all those things could be misinterpreted as promoting the activities of LGBTQ. So these were some of the reasons why two people actually went to the court to challenge the bill. And based on that, the president then said that until those cases are dealt with at the court, he could not assent to the bill. But the way it was done, that was what was problematic for everybody to have talked about it, because people thought that the right thing could have been done, that the president could have accepted the bill to himself, and then looking at the constitutional provisions, he could have recommended that these provisions that are problematic be dealt with by Parliament before it returned to him. But he chose the other way. That is a political decision that that particular administration took. But now let's come back to the bill that has been passed. Now the new bill, when it came back to Parliament. But first of all, let me explain that when this particular 9th Parliament began, the now majority leader, who is in the person of Honorable Muhammad Yarika, was of the view that because the government is actually a continuum, regardless of the one who was the president then and the president now, once Parliament had finished with the bill but was left with an assent, then he was thinking that then that particular bill, even though there's a new government, he was taking that the bill that was passed in the 8th Parliament should be passed on to the now leader of the government, that is President Mahama, to just assent to the bill. But technically, that position was not the right way to go, because the speaker had to rule that once that particular parliament lapsed, it lapsed with the bill. And that is how it is. If there is a particular bill in a particular parliament, as I explained the other time, we have the 8th Parliament, now we are in the 9th Parliament. In a particular parliament does not pass, then when the new parliament comes, everything that started with that particular parliament lapses if it's not completed. But this argument was that the parliament actually finished with the bill, completed the bill, and sent it to the president for the president to assent. But it was just left with the assent because it had left parliament to the executive. So it was just left with the assent. So if that is the case, then it should be passed on to the new parliament, the new president that had assumed the state of affairs. But we also know that the bill or a bill in parliament is not complete until there's an assent. So we cannot say that a bill that was passed that did not go through an assent, you can say that it's completed. It's not completed, because when it went to the presidency, it could have returned to parliament again, because there was a provision where if the president disagrees with what is in the bill that had been passed by parliament, he could have called for another amendment to be done, or pointed out some places that he disagrees with, so he could have come back to parliament. So strictly speaking, if you were looking at it, you will say that the process was not complete. So Mr. Speaker's ruling was spot on, that bill was not complete and therefore lapsed with the 8th Parliament. So it must come back to Parliament afresh for all the works to be done once more. So being that the case, it came back to Parliament. The minority now, who were in the majority in the 8th Parliament, I mean the NPP in the 9th Parliament, led by Honorable Intim Fortuo, actually led the private members' motion again, brought back a new bill, that is a reintroduction of a new bill to Parliament. And then they worked on it. The committee people worked on it. There was some kind of hearing from all the people who were affected and all those things. So after that, when this second meeting began, then the report of the committee was laid before the House. Everybody read it, and then they started working on it. So actually, after a bill is laid the first time, it goes to a committee. It is referred to a committee for the committee to go and work on it, talk to people who are concerned and all that. Then the committee will bring back a report to Parliament. When the report is brought to Parliament, that is where the debate actually on the bill begins, because now they take what is contained in the bill, and then what the committee's recommendation becomes the basis of debate and argument. So they started the debate. That's where they call the debate stage. That's the second reading stage. Then after that, they go to the consideration stage. The consideration stage is when they now go clause by clause, that they state that this is what is supposed to be done here. If the members agree, then they accept it and they leave it in the clause. If they disagree, they expunge it, and those who have better renditions or other input, then they put. So after the whole thing is done, it becomes a document that belongs to the whole Parliament, not one side of the House. So now, as we speak, the bill has been passed. So once the bill has been passed, it has been passed. But the commentary out there is also that why has the bill been passed so swiftly? And we also ask, why not so swiftly? If there are no contentious issues, why not so swiftly? I've also heard that some people were making issues about the numbers that were in the House before the passage of the bill. And I'll very much be surprised if that will form the basis of any annulment of the process, because I've seen too many bills that have been passed with even fewer numbers on the floor of Parliament. What we know is that if nobody raises an issue of quorum, whatever goes through the House goes through it, so far as there are members there to be able to deal with, because we have never had a full House actually considering bills in the House. It's almost always a few people who are interested in the bill. So far as there is consensus, so far as there is quorum for them to have that discussion, it will be hard. What we are thinking is the bill has been passed. What's next? The next thing is the presidential assent. We want to see the assent because this bill actually received a lot of support from Ghanaians, and we think that Ghanaians would like to see the bill actually receive the support. And coupled with what Mr. Speaker has also said about what he thinks that it was too swift, and therefore he has summoned the two sides of the House to reach a consensus on the bill. We are also still waiting to see what actually that means. But as far as we are concerned, this is the information concerning the bill that has been passed. So the bill has been passed, and we are looking forward to the assent of the bill. Otherwise, if anything else happens, we will give it back to you back to back here on Parliament in Focus with me, Clement Sena Akolo. Here we have always dedicated ourselves to give you the information from Parliament, give you the analysis for you to understand exactly what is going on in Parliament. And today we brought you the passage of the anti-LGBTQ bill and matters arising. As we go on, we ask you to stick and stay here on Parliament in Focus. Make sure you subscribe so that anytime we bring a new update, you'll be the first person to know. Enjoy yourself, and let's meet again. Bye bye.